Imagine you walk into a police station somewhere in France. The officer at the desk pulls up your file, runs a search, fills out a report. Standard stuff. But here's what you'd never notice. That computer isn't running Windows. It never has. Not for over 15 years. And that single detail, multiplied across 90,000 workstations, across multiple government ministries, across an entire national infrastructure, tells a story that the tech world has somehow managed to almost completely ignore. France figured something out about Linux that most of the technology community hasn't been honest about. Not in the Linux is theoretically great sense that you've probably heard 1,000 times. In the we deployed it at massive scale, measured the results, and have 15 years of receipts sense. And what those receipts show is genuinely remarkable, not just for France, but for every government, every institution, and every organization anywhere in the world that has ever stared at a Microsoft licensing renewal invoice and wondered if there was another way. So let's talk about what France actually did, why it mattered far beyond just switching operating systems, and what the rest of the world has been too slow to learn from it. To understand why France went this direction, you need to understand something about French political culture. France has always had a strong philosophical commitment to strategic independence. This isn't just rhetoric. It shows up in their defense policy, their agricultural subsidies, their cultural protection laws. The French state has a long history of refusing to accept dependency on external actors as an inevitable condition of doing business. That disposition shaped their approach to technology in a very specific way. When French government officials looked at their computing infrastructure in the early 2000s, they didn't just see IT costs, they saw strategic vulnerabilities. Every Windows license was a dependency on a single American corporation. Every piece of proprietary software was a closed box that French security agencies couldn't fully inspect or audit. Every hardware refresh cycle was being dictated not by the actual lifespan of the equipment, but by the minimum system requirements of the next Windows release. They looked at that picture and decided it was unacceptable, not just financially, but strategically. That mindset is what produced what became one of the most ambitious government Linux deployments in history. The Gendarmerie Nationale is France's national police force. These are not office workers doing light administrative tasks. They are law enforcement professionals whose systems handle sensitive operational data, criminal records, investigations, and real-time coordination. When you're talking about migrating the computing infrastructure of a national police force, you're talking about systems where failures have real consequences. And yet, beginning in 2008, the Gendarmerie made the decision to migrate 90,000 workstations from Windows to Ubuntu Linux. Let that number settle for a moment. 90,000 machines, a national police force, Ubuntu Linux, not a pilot program, not a limited experiment in one regional office, the full deployment. Lieutenant Colonel Xavier Guimard documented the outcomes publicly, and what he described wasn't a story of heroic technical effort against all odds. It was a story of genuine operational success, with hard numbers to back it up. The total cost of ownership over 5 years showed dramatic reductions compared to the equivalent Windows deployment costs. The per workstation savings came from multiple directions simultaneously. Licensing fees gone entirely, hardware refresh cycles extended significantly because Linux doesn't demand the same hardware resources that each new Windows version does, and support infrastructure rationalized through centralized administration tools that made managing tens of thousands of machines far more efficient than it had been before. The operational continuity findings were equally compelling. System availability across the deployment was strong. The kind of reliability you need when the organization depending on those systems is a national police force. This wasn't theoretical uptime from a vendor datasheet. This was measured performance across a decade and a half of real operational use. Here's where it's worth slowing down and being precise about the financial picture, because the surface-level conversation about Linux cost savings tends to be incomplete in a way that actually undersells the real story. When people talk about saving money by switching to Linux, they usually mention the obvious thing. No more Windows license fees. And yes, that's real and significant. Multiply even a modest per-seat license cost by 90,000 workstations, and you're looking at serious money. Then add the fact that switching from Microsoft Office to LibreOffice eliminates another major licensing cost entirely. The arithmetic is straightforward and the numbers are large. But that's only the first layer. The second layer is hardware. Windows has a well-documented pattern of rendering perfectly functional hardware obsolete with each major version release. Windows 11 system requirements, for example, effectively forced organizations to replace machines that were still working fine, just not working fine enough for the new OS. Linux doesn't play that game. The Gendarmerie's hardware that would have required replacement under a continued Windows path stayed in productive operation for years longer. That's not a line item saving that shows up obviously in a budget comparison. It's a capital expenditure that simply never happened. The net present value of those avoided hardware purchases is substantial. The third layer is support. Centralized Linux administration, using modern configuration management tools and automated update deployment, changes the economics of IT support in a fundamental way. Standardized environments reduce diagnostic complexity. When every machine is configured consistently and updates roll out through a single verified pipeline, the number of one-off troubleshooting situations drops dramatically. That translates to real reductions in support staff time and therefore support costs. This layer often gets ignored in the license cost focus comparison, but the Gendarmerie's total cost of ownership analysis included it, and it made the financial case even stronger. Put all three layers together, and you're not looking at a cost optimization. You're looking at a financial transformation. Now, let's talk about security, because this is where the conversation often gets muddled with theoretical arguments that don't help decision makers very much. Linux advocates often point to the open source security model as an architectural advantage, and they're right to do so. But the French governmental experience takes this from theory to documented reality. The French National Agency for Information System Security evaluated the security posture of the Linux deployments and compared it with the Windows baseline. What they found validated the architectural arguments with empirical evidence. The centralized software repository model is a genuinely significant security advantage in practice. When French governmental workstations need an application, it comes from a centralized, cryptographically verified repository. There's no pathway for a user to download an executable from some third-party website and run it on a government machine. Compare that to the Windows model, where the absence of that kind of centralized distribution control creates the attack surface that has been exploited in countless real-world incidents. This isn't a theoretical distinction. It's a measurable difference in the number of vectors through which malicious code can enter a system. The vulnerability response timeline showed improvement as well. Open source development's coordinated disclosure practices, combined with a centralized update deployment the Gendarmerie had configured, meant that when security patches were needed, they reached machines faster and more reliably than the equivalent Windows patching process had managed. For a national police force, the time between vulnerability discovery and patch deployment is not an abstract metric. It has real security implications. None of this means Linux is invulnerable or that the French government never faces cybersecurity challenges. But the measured improvement in security posture, documented by the government's own cybersecurity agency over 15 years of deployment, is exactly the kind of evidence that should be anchoring these conversations instead of getting drowned out by theoretical debates. There's a dimension to the French deployment that goes beyond the financial and the technical, and it might actually be the most important dimension of all when you're thinking about this from a governmental perspective: sovereignty. When the French government moved its infrastructure off proprietary platforms, it didn't just save money and improve security, it eliminated a category of strategic vulnerability that had been quietly accepted as unavoidable. That vulnerability has a specific name: vendor dependency. Consider what vendor dependency actually means for government. It means that an American corporation, answerable to its shareholders, operating under American law, subject to American government pressure, holds significant power over the operational continuity of your national infrastructure. This is not a paranoid framing. It's a straightforward description of what a proprietary software dependency creates. The clearest concrete example is the Windows XP end-of-life support withdrawal. When Microsoft decided to end support for Windows XP, governments around the world that had built their infrastructure on that platform found themselves forced into emergency migrations they hadn't planned or budgeted for. Some paid Microsoft for extended support at significant cost just to buy time. This is exactly what strategic dependency looks like in practice: a private company's commercial decision triggering an unscheduled operational crisis for sovereign governments. The French Linux deployment eliminated that vulnerability. The Gendarmerie's operational continuity no longer depends on any single vendor's commercial decisions. The open source development model that underpins their infrastructure is governed by distributed communities whose incentives don't align with a single corporation's bottom line. That's a qualitatively different kind of resilience. The French government can also audit the code running on its machines. This matters enormously for an intelligence and security context. A closed, proprietary system is, from a national security standpoint, fundamentally unverifiable. You are trusting the vendor's assurances about what the code does. Open source systems allow independent verification, and the French government has used that capability. What makes the French case particularly valuable as a data point isn't just the scale of the deployment, it's the duration. 15 years of operational data is not something you can replicate in a pilot program or a limited trial. It captures upgrade cycles. It captures staff turnover and retraining. It captures the kinds of edge cases and operational challenges that only emerge when systems are under sustained real-world load over extended periods. And over those 15 years, the Gendarmerie has accumulated something genuinely valuable: institutional knowledge about how to make this work, the migration methodology they developed, how to assess application compatibility, how to sequence the transition, how to manage the change management challenge of moving thousands of non-technical workers to an unfamiliar environment, has been refined through real experience in ways that no theoretical framework could replicate. One of the most important findings from that experience is about training. The instinct when moving workers to a new operating system is to focus on technical capabilities. Here's how the file system works. Here's how the package manager works, and so on. The French experience revealed that this is the wrong frame for non-technical workers. For someone who uses a computer as a tool to accomplish their actual job, filling out police reports, accessing databases, communicating with colleagues, what matters is restoring familiar workflows, not teaching platform architecture. The training programs that worked focused on getting people back to functional equivalence with their old workflows as quickly as possible. That insight, validated by the experience of deploying to tens of thousands of non-technical government workers, is enormously valuable to anyone planning a similar migration. France wasn't operating in a vacuum, and one of the strongest validations of the French findings is that other governments have independently reached similar conclusions through similar processes. The Italian Ministry of Defense conducted its own large-scale Linux migration. Their financial assessments, using comparable methodology to the French analysis, produced comparable results. Per workstation cost reductions from the same combination of licensing elimination and hardware lifecycle extension. The structural pattern the French documented replicated in a completely different national and institutional context. The German Federal Foreign Office pursued open source transitions across its operations. Munich's Linux project generated significant political controversy, and its eventual reversal has been cited repeatedly by Linux skeptics as evidence that large-scale governmental Linux deployment doesn't work. But that framing conflates two very different questions. The Munich project's technical outcomes were not the problem. The Munich project's political management was the problem. The distinction matters. The technical capability was demonstrated. What failed was the institutional and political framework around the implementation. That's a lesson about implementation methodology, not about Linux capability. What the cross-national pattern reveals is that the French findings aren't a curiosity specific to some unique combination of French institutional culture and political will. The financial math works the same way in Italy. The security architecture has the same properties in Germany. The strategic sovereignty rationale applies equally to every government operating proprietary infrastructure from foreign vendors. The French case is the most thoroughly documented instance of a generalizable finding. So what is the actual lesson here? What should organizations outside France, other governments, large institutions, enterprises, take from 15 years of French governmental Linux deployment? The lesson is not simply Linux saves money. That's too thin. The lesson is about what the conditions for success look like, because those conditions matter as much as the platform capability itself. The gendarmerie didn't succeed because Ubuntu Linux is technically superior in ways that automatically translate to operational success. They succeeded because they approached the migration with the seriousness that a 90,000 machine mission-critical deployment deserves. They invested in change management. They developed rigorous application compatibility assessment before committing to migration timelines. They built centralized administration infrastructure that made ongoing management sustainable. They measured outcomes and were transparent about what they found. They treated the human factors, how real people with real jobs actually experience the transition, as a first-class problem, not an afterthought. The capability was necessary, but not sufficient. The implementation methodology turned the capability into operational reality. This is why the technology community has sometimes done Linux a disservice by focusing almost entirely on architectural arguments and feature comparisons. Those arguments are true, but they don't tell an institutional decision maker what they need to know, which is, does this work at scale for real organizations, with real workers, over real-time horizons? France answers that question with 15 years of documented evidence. The answer is yes, under the conditions that the French deployment carefully cultivated. Here's the bottom line, stated as plainly as it can be. The French government took Linux seriously as a strategic platform, deployed it at a scale that would have been dismissed as unrealistic by many technology commentators, measured the outcomes rigorously, and documented what they found transparently. What they found was that Linux, deployed with genuine institutional commitment and serious implementation discipline, delivers financial transformation, measurable security improvement, operational continuity, and strategic sovereignty that no proprietary alternative can match. The gendarmerie's 90,000 workstations didn't run Linux because it was a political statement or an ideological experiment. They ran Linux because 15 years into the deployment, the evidence overwhelmingly supports continuing to run Linux. The decision has been validated repeatedly by the only form of evidence that actually matters: sustained operational performance at scale. What's frustrating is that this evidence has been sitting in plain sight for years. The French government published it, researchers documented it, The institutional knowledge accumulated through the gendarmerie's migration is available to any organization that wants to learn from it. And yet the conversation about Linux in government and institutional contexts keeps circling back to the same theoretical arguments, as if the French had never actually done any of this. France didn't debate whether Linux was powerful enough for governmental deployment. France deployed Linux and measured the power. The measurement is the answer, and the answer is more compelling than the theoretical case ever managed to be. The French picture shows Linux operating at a scale and in a context that should force a serious reconsideration of how we talk about what this platform is actually capable of. Not capable of in theory, capable of in practice, in a national police force, across 15 years, with 90,000 machines and documented outcomes that hold up to scrutiny. Linux is more powerful than the tech community's incremental advocacy implied. France didn't assert that. France proved it. The evidence is documented. The replication is occurring across multiple nations, and the only question left is how much longer the rest of the world will take to pay attention.